Our final scene of Act 1 has Macbeth entering the stage alone. He's going to give one of his soliloquies here, and a soliloquy is basically a fancy way of saying a monologue, right? He's on stage by himself, it's just us listening, and he's going to talk about his thoughts on murdering Duncan. So he starts off by saying, "If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here." So he's saying, you know what, if I could just kill Duncan and Duncan's dead and I would become king and that would be it, I would do it. But obviously there are so many other things that come with murdering a king and so much more fallout that comes that it's not just cut and dry and simple. So Macbeth, he is ambitious, he is entertaining these thoughts about killing Duncan, but he is worried about all the things in between the murder of Duncan and becoming king. He says, "In these cases, we still have judgment here, that but we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught return to plague the inventor." So if you do bad things in the world, bad things might come back to you. All right. So he's worried about justice. He's worried about karma, and he doesn't really want to have to, like, his life is good right now. Things are going well for him. He's now Thane of 2 places. He's got a great wife. The king loves him. Everybody loves him. So why would he screw this up? He's here in double trust. So he's talking about Duncan is here and he trusts the situation. He trusts that he's safe for 2 reasons. The first reason is that he is a kinsman to Duncan. He is a loyal subject of Scotland, and he still believes in loyalty, right? Like, he's afraid to do that because he doesn't want to, become a traitor. He's also saying that because Duncan is under his roof, because he is a guest, that would also be a very bad reason to kill him. So obviously, like, he's got these 2 things that he's worried about. It would be not 1 but 2 betrayals to Duncan here if he does go with this plan. He's worried about being damned. Okay, he's afraid of hell. Also, Duncan is quite loved. So clear in his great office that his virtues will plead like angels against the deep damnation of taking off, and pity like a naked newborn babe. So if he dies, the country will weep. Okay, everybody will be sad. The country will be torn up. Maybe it dives into chaos. So you can't just also remove a beloved, awesome Kane, right? He does a good job with Scotland, so he's also worried that might and have a effect, right? Like, if he comes in as the next Kane and people love Duncan, they're like, well, that's not that great of Kane, right? Like, Duncan was awesome. Remember how good Duncan was? So he's worried about that as well. Enter Lady Macbeth, who is going to not be pleased with his attitude at the moment. She says, "What news do you have?" Macbeth says that to her. "What news do you have?" And Lady Macbeth says he's done supper, or he's almost done supper. "Why did you leave the supper table? Like, what are you doing?" And she's like, Macbeth says, "Has he asked for me?" And Lady Macbeth is like, don't you know that he has? Like, of course he's asked for you, dummy. You're the host. Like, well, you can't just leave when the king is here. And then Macbeth puts his foot down and says, "We will not proceed further in this business. We are not going with this plan. He has honored me of late. I have bought golden opinions from all sorts of people." Golden opinions meaning people think highly of Macbeth, "which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon." So basically, I haven't even got to celebrate my accomplishments, right? Like, he just won 2 big battles. Like, he just became the Thane of Cawdor as well. Those are huge accomplishments, and he's like, I haven't even got to experience them or enjoy them yet. So he's like, you know what? Like, I don't want to go on with this plan. And Lady Macbeth, this is where she gets a little bit snippy. She's like, "Were you drunk when you told me this? Was the hope drunk when you told me this? Like, who are you? Like, this is not the man that told me he was ready to do this, right? Has your hopes and ambition gone to sleep, and now just waking and looks basically pathetic," she says, "to look so green and pale? It's like, what? Like, this is nothing what you promised me, okay? From this time, such I count thy love." So she's like, I don't really think much of you right now. I thought you loved me. I thought you would do this for us. You know what? I'm not really digging you right now. She says, art thou afraid? Are you afraid of acting in your desire? Would you sit aside and want something so badly yet not do it? Okay. Wouldst thou have that which thou esteemest? Like, don't you want what you want? So basically, you're acting like a fool right now. You're acting like a pathetic man. And then Macbeth is like, girl, chill. Prithee, peace. I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is not. So he's like, I'm going to do everything I can as a man. But if I kill Duncan, I become more of a man. And by that he means like an animal, right? Like I cease to become a man if I commit this murder. And then Lady Macbeth is like, if you weren't a man, like what kind of animal were you that first told me this? Like whatever kind of creature you were that said, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to become king. It's like, I want that creature back. I want that animal back. So you know what? Like I don't know who you are. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man. So she's actually saying, you know what? You think you'd be like more than you would transcend into some sort of monster if you did this. I actually think you would be like a better man for this. Okay? Be so much more than man, nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now. So basically, like, when you said you wanted to kill Duncan, like, there was no time or place to do that. Like, we didn't have an opportunity. Now he is here. He's going to go to sleep, right? Like, he's tired from traveling. You're going to have a good opportunity to actually go through with his plan, and now you want to back out when before, like, it wasn't ideal for us, and you said, let's do it. This doesn't make sense. This unmakes you, okay? This makes you a loser. And this here, when I think of Lady Macbeth, this is like the first kind of speech lines here that I jump to because it's gruesome and really shows how dedicated she is. She says, I have given suck and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. So she says, I have breastfed a child. I would, while it was still smiling at me, plucked it from my nipples, or ripped it from the breastfeeding, and smashed its brains out, if I had sworn what you had sworn. Okay? And she's like, I'm ready to do this. I am down for this. Why aren't you? Okay? And that just shows Lady Macbeth is full of cruelty and determination and desire for this ambition to put Macbeth on the throne. Macbeth, hearing this, all he has to say is, if we fail, and Lady Macbeth is like, if we fail, like, what do you, no, like, she's like, screw you, like, get some courage, okay, this is the plan. Duncan is going to fall asleep. He's tired, right, he's journeyed all day, he's had a day's hard journey soundly invited into him. What we're going to do is his two chamberlains, so his two servants that would be outside his door, kind of doing whatever he wants, I will go and get them drunk with wine and wassail. So I will convince them to drink, and I will convince them to, pass out from all this drink, and then I will blame the murder on them. Okay? So when they are unguarded, we'll slip in, you'll kill him, and then we're going to blame the guards for his death. Sounds like a pretty good plan, right? If the servants get so drunk they can't remember and they have knives on them, bloody knives, and the king's dead, seems pretty cut and dry. Who did it? Then Macbeth, he's finally like, ooh, this girl's so scary, says, hopefully you only bring forth boys if you give birth, okay? Because your metal, your mentality doesn't suit females, okay? You should only be having boys. And then she says, when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber and used their very daggers, that they have done it. So she's like, he's like, they're going to be blamed, right? Like, if they have the knives, if they have the blood, people are going to think they're culprits. And Lady Macbeth is like, who cares? Like, why would, if they have the knife, of course they're going to be blamed, right? So she, again, is like, looking at Macbeth, she's like, are you stupid? Like, of course they're going to be blamed, right? This is obviously without CSI and DNA and all that stuff. So it's pretty cut and dry who killed him. And then Macbeth is like, all right, I am settled and bent up. I will do it. Each corporal ancient to this terrible feat await and mock the time with fair show. False face must hide what the false heart doth know. So he's basically saying, you know what, let's do this. I'm going to try to hide these dark desires, like he's already said before, and let's go out and pretend that everything's all right, and let's go and try to kill the king.